10 years ago, this was the view out my window at the campus of New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary after the ravages of Hurricane Katrina made our campus uninhabitable and unusable for nearly a year. This is the view of New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary today. God has done an amazing work of restoration, an amazing work of redemption. Hi, my name is Chuck Kelly, the president of New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, and I want to give you a brief introduction to our report on what God has done at this school of providence and prayer in the last year. It's been quite a year. We had an historic enrollment, the largest in the history of NOBTS. That meant so much to us coming 10 years after Katrina did its damage. We had a wonderful time of campus of seeing people saved, of seeing our students engaged in ministries all over the city, all over the nation, and all over the world. We had a year of multiplying partnerships for effective ministry, a year of new programs, a year in which God did many great and mighty things. We kept our focus on two very important issues in Southern Baptist life and in theological education today. One of those issues is access, making theological education as accessible as possible to anyone God calls, for that is our goal. That is how we understand our assignment from Southern Baptist. And as we were working on that issue of access, we have now in place, with students enrolled, programs of mentoring in which a person's field experience becomes their classroom. We have programs online. We have programs in residential campus. We have programs in extension centers all over the southeastern United States. All of these things are for one simple purpose. Anyone God calls, we are in a position to train for that calling, and that is always going to be our priority. A second matter of concern for us is a focus on the practical realities of ministry. For we believe seminary education is not simply about learning the Bible, learning theology, learning church history. Those have always been and will always be a part of the process. But it must also be about learning ministry skills. How do you lead someone to Christ? How do you get along with people? How do you get everybody moving in the same direction and pulling towards the same goals? These are the subjects of required classes in our curriculum, and we spend more time on practical ministry preparation than any other seminary in the nation of which I am aware. We think it's very important to have great preachers, great pastoral theologians, but great pastors who can nurture and care for people. We also have made a really big point of community on our campus this year because it got off to such a difficult start. One of our professors, Dr. John Gibson, a professor in our level college, took his own life and died very tragically on the first day of class. It was a tough beginning, but God has redeemed it in some very precious ways, reinforcing our sense of community and reminding all of us how important it is to stay connected to one another. As we have continued our historic practice of the faculty gathering every teaching day for a time of devotion and prayer, we've added now students gathering at a different place to pray for our faculty, and from time to time those students and faculty coming together to pray for and encourage one another. I wish you could have been there on the morning. Our students brought breakfast to the faculty prayer meeting as they served our faculty a meal, expressed their love and appreciation for faculty, and then we all joined hands together in a wonderful time of prayer. Tragedies happen in life, but God always has the ability to redeem any tragedy, and we have been reminded this year of the importance of community, honestly and openly walking with one another, encouraging one another in our spiritual lives, and listening to one another as we face the challenges that life brings. Very important for all to know. We are also very thrilled to watch the development of our Caskey Center for Church Excellence. This is a center that is devoted to providing scholarships and coaching for those who serve in our small church of the Southern Baptist Convention. This is the heart and soul of the Southern Baptist Convention. 90% of our churches have 250 people or less present on Sunday morning. Some 70% have 100 people or less. We're delighted that a donor made it possible for us to offer full scholarships to those who are serving these churches. A requirement for receiving that scholarship is that the student have a gospel-centered conversation once every week during the semesters of their studies. We had an amazing first year. More than 3,000 gospel conversations happened just with those students, about 194 of them. Of those more than 3,000 gospel conversations, 2,000 or more got to a point of inviting someone to receive Jesus Christ as their Savior and Lord. And I am delighted to report more than 430 people were born again as children of God because of those gospel conversations started by our students. In addition to these exciting times, our other students are all participating in sharing their faith. There's a required course every student takes to walk across the stage at our seminary, getting them engaged in sharing the gospel with people here in New Orleans and wherever they serve. You see, we know it's very important for us to get outside the walls of the church and to have those gospel conversations if we are going to see people come to Christ. And we have learned in our first year with the Caskey students that 21% of the time, if you get as far in a gospel conversation as inviting someone to receive Christ, they are going to give their lives to Christ. That's amazing, isn't it? Who knows what would happen if Southern Baptists as a whole family were looking to have one gospel conversation every week of their lives. That's the goal towards which we are striving. We've seen many other wonderful things happen, but I guess our year was summed up in one moment I had an associational meeting. It was a typical Baptist associational meeting of a rural association. The church was packed. They had a hard time finding a place for me to sit until it was time for me to do the message for the event. The last item of business before they called on me was a recommendation from their membership committee about accepting a new congregation into membership in the association. That congregation was one of our inmate congregations inside Angola State Penitentiary, a maximum security prison, the largest maximum security prison in the United States. Can you imagine that? As that assemblage in the associational meeting voted to accept that association, that congregation into the association, I could not help but be amazed at the power of our gospel. And this is the message that we like to communicate to Southern Baptists. These are challenging times for our convention. We are, in fact, a convention in decline. We have fewer Southern Baptists for multiple years. Fewer Southern Baptists attending worship for multiple years. Fewer Southern Baptists attending Bible study or small groups for multiple years. Fewer baptisms for multiple years. We are a convention that is struggling to reach people. But our testimony in the midst of these struggles is simply this. We have an amazing gospel that has the power to transform any lives. And the inmate ministers that we have trained in Angola Penitentiary alone have started 24 congregations on the cell blocks of maximum security inmates. Wow! That Hebrew word has to be said. We have an amazing God. And we know as we focus on training pastors, as we focus on equipping people to do ministry in our churches and on the mission field, with this amazing gospel, we can see a fresh, a new, and a mighty work of God. Let my last word be the most important word. Thank you. Thank you for all that you are doing to make our seminary possible. For it is the cooperative program that is the engine pulling this train. We live in a very non-Baptist place. New Orleans has never been called a great citadel of the gospel. We live in a challenging city, and for every one of our students who comes, it's like coming to a foreign country. It's so different, so challenging in so many different ways. And yet the cooperative program, those gifts of Southern Baptists from all over the United States, flow into this seminary and make what we are doing possible. We remind our students of this all the time. We require a course of every student teaching them about the cooperative program. One of their assignments in that course is tracing $1 in the offering plate of a local church, their particular local church, all the way through its distribution through the cooperative program system. We know the cooperative program is an essential part of what Southern Baptists are doing everywhere and what they are doing in particular at New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. So, thank you. Thank you for your work with the cooperative program. Thank you, Southern Baptists, for making our seminary possible. This school of providence and prayer never forgets. We are here because of God's grace as it is expressed through the support of Southern Baptist churches. Go ahead and read the report as you have time, and you will see a wonderful work of God that happened at New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary in the year 2015. We love you and appreciate you. God bless you.